We're here to bring a new time of new show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Monday, June 22nd here in Seoul. I'm Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Tuesday is higher.
Great to be here today.
Good to have you, also Kyun's with us.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we're now at the start of a new work week, and for many people, that means settling back into daily routines and thinking about what they're working towards in the long run. As conversations around work-life balance and financial security continue to evolve, one question often comes up. When is the right time to call an end to a career? And retirement goals can vary widely depending on lifestyle, finances, and personal priorities. So to kick off our discussion today, I want to first ask our panelists here. So Kyun, how old would you ideally like to be when you retire?
Honestly, I would like to retire right now, if I can.
Relatable.
But that's not the reality. But I can't really put an exact age to my retirement age. But I want to start working when the time is right and when the kind of workforce or people around me tell me, I think it's time you should leave. If they don't want me anymore, if I'm not needed anymore, I think I will realize, oh, maybe I should start working. But, I say this because as a freelancer, nothing is guaranteed from paid annual leave, severance pay, all things like that. So as a freelancer, you want to work as much as you can while you can and save up, make as much as you can. And I generally love everything I'm doing right now because as a freelancer, you get to not choose, but be exposed to a lot of different types of gigs. For example, I get to do news gen, radio news announcing, emceeing, even teach English, and I enjoy every single part of those kind of different jobs. So I want to cherish it and protect it as long as I can. But like I said, who knows when I should start working, but for me, I want to work until my body kind of tells me I should start working.
I mean, it's such a special thing to like what you do and also be really good at what you do.
Exactly, it's a privilege and it's a blessing as well.
So what about you, Kaya?
Well, I think I actually kind of agree with Ki-hyun to some extent. I think we are still kind of young and
You're young, not me.
Yeah. There's so many things that I really want to do in my life. I just want to keep learning and challenging myself and trying new things for as long as I can. So even if I became financially independent, actually, I didn't really have to work for money anymore. I think I would still choose to work. To me, work is about much more than just earning a paycheck. It's a way to meet people and stay connected to society and also keep growing as a person. And of course, I just really would love to stay with the News Generation family and all of our viewers for as long as possible.
And we'd like to have you as long as possible as well. So all this shows that retirement isn't necessarily about stopping work, but perhaps having the freedom to keep doing work that's meaningful and fulfilling. So we're going to talk more about this, but first, let's take a look at the screen. With people living longer and healthier lives, many are questioning whether the current official retirement age is becoming outdated. The government is taking note and is pushing a plan to gradually raise the mandatory retirement age from 60 to 65 by 2037. Today on News Generation, we're taking a closer look at how younger generations view the prospect of working longer, sharing our own thoughts on whether extending the retirement age is the right move, and discussing what direction Korean society should take as it adapts to a rapidly aging future. Just as we saw in a video, the issue of extending the retirement age touches on everything from demographics to jobs and retirement security. The debate has been gaining momentum as Korea grapples with rapid aging and a shrinking workforce. So what is driving the exact push to extend the retirement age, Kyun?
Like you just mentioned, Soo-jin, the South Korean government is seeking to gradually raise the mandatory retirement age from the current 60 to 65 by the year 2037. Now, to find out about the real reasons supporting this change, let's take a look at the screen. In a survey conducted by the Federation of Korean Trade Unions, 1,000 South Korean adults were asked why the retirement age should be extended. Now, while multiple responses were allowed, the number one reason at 69% was the economic insecurity caused by the income gap before receiving the national pension, which the gap currently is 5 years. Now, the second reason was longer life expectancy, and the last reason was population decline. Now, almost 90% of all the respondents agreed for the extension of the retirement age, showing their strong push for this particular revision.
So if people are living longer and retiring before they're eligible for full pension benefits, many could face years of financial uncertainty. Still, agreeing on the need for change is one thing, but agreeing on how to do it is another. So what are labor groups and businesses currently divided over here?
Yes, so the labor groups and businesses, they generally agree that people may need to work longer, but now they are divided over who should bear the cost and how the system should be designed. So labor groups want the mandatory retirement age itself to be raised from 60 to 65 while keeping existing employment relationships and benefits intact. Businesses, on the other hand, worry that doing so could increase labor costs and reduce opportunities for younger job seekers. So that's why many companies prefer a re-employment system where workers retire first and then are rehired again under a new contract. So a big reason behind this debate is Korea's seniority-based wage system, where employees generally earn more as they get older. As a result, companies are concerned about extending the retirement age without changing the current wage structure.
So that really highlights how the issue goes beyond simply asking people to work longer. It also raises questions about wages, productivity, and fairness between generations. And as the debate continues, many younger Koreans are wondering what all this means for their own careers and futures. So to get a more personal and in-depth perspective on this, we're going to talk to someone from a country where mandatory retirement age has also been widely discussed. And that conversation will take place right after break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out Channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
We're joined now by Walter, Japan correspondent for the Straits Times, for a closer look at how Japan is grappling with many of the same challenges. So hello, Walter. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Right, Walter. So what's the current situation in Japan regarding retirement age reform, and how does it compare to the discussions that are currently taking place in Korea?
Well, in terms of Japan's demographic playbook, in terms of its aging population and the fact that its entire population is on the decline, I think Japan is essentially several pages ahead of South Korea. And I guess based on that, its discussions on retirement age has also been several steps ahead of South Korea. And interestingly, legally, Japan still keeps its base retirement age at 60, but since last year, companies are obliged to offer a path to keep workers employed until 65 if the employees want to continue working. Right now, there's already a push to raise this age up to 70, but these are still in preliminary stages of discussion. So the catch is that a lot of companies, as we heard earlier, of a similar suggestion being mooted in South Korea, the catch is that a majority of Japanese companies kind of get around this by using the rehiring method. So a worker formally retires at 60 and are then brought back on contract-based terms, which are often cheaper and comes with fewer benefits. So that it sounds a bit inhumane, but I guess for most of these seniors, the priority is to keep themselves active in the workforce, and so the money is not the key issue. And doing so also kind of saves corporations some money that it can then be used to channel onto wages of younger employees, whilst also keeping the seniors themselves active. So Japan is also trying to encourage more seniors to stay in the workforce by making it more lucrative to postpone the withdrawals of their pension beyond the age of 60, which is the starting point when they are allowed to get reduced pension benefits. So the later they postpone the withdrawal, the more money they get.
Right, thank you, Walter. And my next question is, how do younger Japanese feel about people working longer?
Right. That's a very interesting question. I think globally there is this common narrative of some sort of, generational warfare, or that there's this idea that youth maybe resent older workers for hogging the corporate ladder, because if they don't move, there's no way they can move up, right? And I'm sure there is some sense of frustration in corporate Japan as well, when, especially since the image that most people have internationally of Japanese boardrooms is how they are dominated by, white hat executives who refuse to relinquish their board seats. But I think increasingly some companies are getting around this by forcing this so-called handover, by shifting these older executives into, advisory roles rather than overseeing the day-to-day management of the company. But beyond that, if you look at, say, day-to-day jobs, everyday jobs, be it in retail and logistics, in manufacturing, on the factory lines, I think it's less of resentment, but more of pragmatic acceptance, especially since Japan's labor shortage is really very bad. It's probably going to get worse because it is getting more difficult to hire foreign workers. So the only people who are left to plug these gaps are really elderly workers, seniors who remain in the workforce. And I think youth can also kind of feel the maths through their wallets, right? Because if the seniors are not active in the workforce, then they are going to bear the brunt of, higher pension payments, higher tax payments. And so the financial burden on them is just going to go up.
Walter, how can countries balance support for seniors and jobs for youth?
Right, that's another very difficult question, but I kind of think that maybe we should look at it as two sides of the same coin. So for youth, governments must of course offer hope to them by ensuring things like they have a comfortable wage to live on even after paying into the taxes, into the pension system. And of course, they must be able to see a very clear career progression. But for seniors, of course, it's not going to just be about working endlessly till they die, right? But I think we also have to redefine what sort of value they can bring to the workforce. And for governments and countries, I think they have to seriously look into how seniors can continue upskilling, reskilling, and maybe embrace lifelong learning so that they can increasingly participate in this flexible work from anywhere era, especially if they were in a white collar job before. Alternatively, I think there is also scope for seniors to step into more community facing roles such as childcare, since it is now becoming more common for both parents to work. And so I think that kind of helps communities become more tight knit and kind of cements their place in the community as well. So ultimately, I think seniors also have this incredible economic and cultural value if they are able to transfer the knowledge that they have gained over the decades, in the form of analog skills that that can't be replicated with digital algorithms. If this can be transferred onto a younger generation, I think it also enables them to be socially embedded in communities. And of course, there are so many studies out there that show how, if seniors are more active as they age, it benefits them both physically and mentally as well.
Walter, before we let you go, I would like to ask you a very quick question. It could be a little personal as well. Is there an age that you would actually want to retire one day? A certain age
I wish I
when
could
you want to start
retire.
working?
Gosh, I wish I could retire right now.
Just like everyone else.
Like everyone else, right? But yeah, but beyond that, I don't have a target in mind, to be honest. But I just hope to be able to retire comfortably, and I'll know it when I get there, I think.
I agree with you.
I think it's a very fair answer. I think I would also like to retire now, but also I was kind of wondering about this as well because I'm also a reporter, so I was wondering if that would influence like how long you want to continue to work.
Right, yeah, that's always going to be a tough one, right? Because as a reporter, I mean, you get the adrenaline rush from, speaking to all sorts of different people every day, and no 2 days are the same. So there's that part of that which I kind of think I'll miss if I were to retire. But then again, it's also a very taxing job, right? And I guess in this era, reportage can take many different forms. So if I were to step back from the front lines and if I were to retire, who knows, maybe I could make a living writing Substack talks about Japan. I hope that people will subscribe to me.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights with us today, Walter.
Not at all, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just spoke to a Japan correspondent about how other countries are handling retirement age policies, how young people are reacting to the issue, and what factors should be kept in mind as the debate moves forward. And this discussion naturally raises questions about how younger Koreans themselves see the issue. So how do they view the raising retirement age, Kim?
In the same survey that I talked about, people in their 20s and 30s also agree that extending the retirement age is required and necessary, but at the same time, they strongly supported that measure should be more towards supporting youth employment, and it should come first. This is because young people are obviously facing a lot of difficulties in finding new, productive, good future-oriented jobs, and these concerns feel more urgent to them. In fact, according to an analysis by the Korea Development Institute, or KDI, if 20% of workers aged 60 to 64 benefit from the retirement age extension, around 120,000 youth jobs could actually disappear. Now, there were also generational differences over how the retirement age should be extended. People in their 40s prefer an immediate mandatory legal revision, while those in their 20s chose a selective employment system as their top preference. Now, this all makes sense depending on which age bracket you fall under within the workforce. And it's not just about who is willing to sacrifice more, but more about a structural reform that encourages more people to work to the best of their ability, and at the same time being kind of compensated by measuring one's performance and contribution regardless of age and how many years they've actually worked at a single company.
It is quite interesting because for me too personally, I feel like I do like the prospect of being able to work longer, but at the same time, I'm like, does this mean I'll be like, the people that are currently the higher ups will continue to be there for a longer time, which is obviously fine, but I'm always welcome to stay as long as possible. But yeah. So that highlights a real dilemma. Many young people may agree with the need for reform in principle, but they're also worried about finding jobs in the here and now. So who would then benefit most from, I guess, extending the retirement age higher?
Yeah, so currently the people who would benefit most are absolutely those in stable jobs, such as full-time employees at large corporations and public institutions and other like government agencies, but which make only about like 10% of Korea's workforce. So this is because retirement age extensions mainly benefit people who stay employed until retirement. However, according to one survey, among workers in their late 50s and early 60s, only 25% actually retired at the mandatory retirement age, while 35% left due to layoffs, restructuring, or other circumstances. And for younger workers, the picture can look quite different. About 32% of people in their 20s and 30s are employed in non-regular positions, meaning many may not directly benefit from a retirement age extension. So that's why some people worry that the benefits could end up being concentrated among a relatively small group of workers.
So a policy designed to help older workers could end up leaving many people behind if its benefits are concentrated among a relatively small group. So with all that in mind, I want to shift to asking more of a personal question. So after our discussion today, what do you think personally about whether Korea should raise their retirement age or not?
It's a difficult issue that we all need to consider because it's gonna get worse as time goes by, because we all need to know that Korea has already entered a super age society, which means that 20% of the population are age 65 or older, and we're one of the fastest aging populations globally. And on top of that, among OECD nations, South Korea has the highest poverty rate of 40%. Now, this is roughly triple the OECD average of 14.8%. Now, looking ahead, I don't think Korea is in the best situation for the economy to grow bigger and bigger, as we already have experienced over the past few decades. But one way is to, I guess, have more active, capable workers in the workforce instead of just forcing them out because they've reached a legal retirement age. Now, of course, employment conditions should be, I guess, re-implemented, having different conditions so that contracts are signed again, so that the company and both the employees can actually benefit mutually and not just benefit just one party at all. And this in turn can actually help the whole economy kind of just stabilize, not just fall behind, but I mean, we don't expect South Korea to grow rapidly, just like we've seen over the past 10 years, but just kind of like stay in the medium. I think that will really help. But like Walter said, there are many issues that will arise in terms of keeping seniors at work. They're going to get pretty much overpaid for the amount of productivity they can actually produce. And that's going to obviously take away quality jobs from young people. So how do we actually balance this? It's not for us to decide. It's for officials and experts to really come up with a good plan for the future.
Like you said, I think balance is really hard. But at the same time, because there are some 65-year-olds who are obviously very competent, they know what to do. They're 65-year-olds nowadays, I feel like, are different from the past.
They're much younger and more active.
Exactly, right. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I also do think that raising the retirement age is very necessary. So I think people are now living longer, and as just Ki-hoon mentioned, the income gap between retirement and pension benefits is a real concern for a lot of people. And at the same time, I don't think simply raising the retirement age is enough. As Ki-hoon just said, wage system reform and more flexible employment policies should be discussed as well. And personally, I'd also be open to the idea of removing the mandatory retirement age altogether, as some European countries and the United States have done. In the long run, I think a person's ability and willingness to work should matter more than their age.
Right, so I guess a bigger question technically now is what kind of society Korea wants to build moving forward. So, Ki-hoon, what direction do you think Korea should ideally take in terms of this reform?
Korea should not frame the retirement kind of reform as a fight between generations, but the goal should be to build a labor market where older people can work under the new wage system reform, while young people still have real opportunities to enter the job market and finding stable jobs in the long run. So retirement reforms should therefore be treated not as a pension issue, but as part of a broader Korean redesign of Korea's labor market.
Right. What are your thoughts on this?
For me, I think the most important thing for both labor groups and businesses to have enough conversation first and then find a realistic compromise. So the retirement age reform affects people in very different ways. For some, it's about retirement security, while for others, it's about job opportunities, especially for younger job seekers. So that's why the goal shouldn't be to benefit just one group of workers, but to create a system that works for as many people as possible. So ultimately, Korea needs a balanced solution that reflects the interests of society as a whole.
Right. So as Korea becomes an increasingly older society, questions about when and how people retire are only becoming more important, and finding the right balance between supporting older workers and also creating opportunities for younger generations won't be easy. But one thing is quite clear, any solution will need to work for people of all ages. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. My News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. Big thanks to Hyun.
It was my pleasure.
And it was so cute.
Thanks for having me.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, if you do end up being able to clock in longer, it'll be by choice, not by bills. We are News Generation.